UN reminds G20 of Development Fund for LDCs. Good evening, I am Faida Ngaga. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBConline. Also, get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook and Twitter pages at TBConline. The Vice President, Dr. Mpango, calls on the nations to include climate change adaptation and control issues in their development plans, focusing on sectors most vulnerable to climate change, such as energy, agriculture and water. Lura Mohammed has more details.
Dr. Mpango was participating in the discussion on climate change agenda involving senior government leaders of various nations at the 5th Conference of the United Nations on the Least Developed Countries, LDC 5 in Doha, Qatar.
We have developed the nationally determined contribution and the National Environmental Master Plan for Strategic Interventions from 2021 to 2032. And priority areas for intervention include countrywide tree planting, introduction of smart agricultural practices, use of clean energy, particularly for cooking, building small and medium-sized dams to store rainwater for use during the dry season.
The Vice President adds that Tanzania welcomes cooperation in priority areas that will help in dealing with climate change, such as solar and wind energy, better waste management, as well as environmentally friendly technology.
Let us work together to address climate change and associated challenges towards a better future for all humanity. The commitments made in Paris, Glasgow, Sharm el-Sheikh must be honored. We need action now, not just words. Additionally, the transition from fossil to non-fossil fuels must be a just one for Africa.
Dr. Mpango also earlier today has met and held talks with the President of Slovenia, who welcomed Tanzania to learn and obtain environmentally friendly technology, which the country has invested in.
I think that Slovenia can contribute to a good dialogue in United Nations. I will work with all my heart to be a representative, transparent representative, if you want me to say so, for all the members of the UN.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, says Denmark has agreed to cooperate with Tanzania in combating climate change issues. Dr. Nchemba made the remark in Doha, Qatar, after meeting with the Minister of Development Cooperation and Climate Change Policies of the Royal Danish government on the sidelines of the 5th United Nations Conference on the Least Developed Countries, LDC 5. He adds that the meeting between the two countries is a continuation of several meetings, so the current talks are an effort to continue to strengthen the development cooperation in various sectors.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, Dr. Stargman Attacks, has met and held talks with the British ambassador to Tanzania, David Konkar, in Dar es Salaam earlier today. The two discussed on how to strengthen the bilateral ties between the UK and Tanzania and how to work together to maintain and enhance even further the existing relations. Moving on, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says it's high time the G20 countries live to their commitment to provide an agreed percentage of gross income to least developed countries for official development assistance. Guterres made the remarks in Doha during the 50th commemoration of LDC establishment. He says at the moment the United Nations has petitioned the G20 to form a development fund that developing nations should tap from for development. Eunice Ndlovu reports.
It's common for the least developed countries to struggle with rising cost of living and climate change chaos, while the developed nations continue to pollute the world with industrial activities, according to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The UN chief says it hasn't been easy for the least developed countries to sail through to prosperity over the years as the global financial systems are sending the vulnerable countries to the sidelines. He said the bank interest rates least developed countries pay are 8 times higher than in developed countries, rendering the nations weak on socio-economic development of people.
Or to gather the world around the need to provide at least $500 billion a year to developing countries. And it's also high time that developed countries live up to their commitment to provide least developed countries with 0.15 to 0.20% of their gross national income for official development assistance. No more excuses. We must also expand international efforts to fight tax evasion, money laundering, and illicit financial flows that drain domestic resources.
In his remarks, Malawi President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera said least developed countries need to embrace what the Doha Program of Action entails and ensure that the momentum is maintained for sustainability.
We cannot afford to have the momentum of the Doha Program of Action suffer the same disruptions the Istanbul Program of Action suffered. As such, we must not focus so much on what other nations have that we do not. The greatest progress is always made by those who focus on what they themselves have and how to use it to build something better. And in our case, we have the UN Sustainable Development Goals as a reminder of the better days that lie ahead of us.
The LOCD group was launched in 1971 with 25 countries. The highest number of LODCs was in 1991 with membership of 50 countries. For the next decade of the Doha Program of Action, 16 countries are already showing signs of achieving graduation to medium-income group.
Now let's have a look at the energy sector, where Rural Energy Agency REA Women Branch has designed and distributed environmentally friendly cooking stoves to more than 100 families in the village of Zanka and Kigwe in the district of Bahi in Dodoma. The agency aimed to encourage the use of alternative energy for cooking to prevent the destruction of forests in those villages. Speaking on behalf of the women, the Director of Marketing and Technology Development REA, Advera Mwijage, urges the residents of these villages to use alternative energy to prevent environmental damage caused by the use of wood and charcoal. Is a report by Annette Andrew, read by Apasia Ringo.
As International Women's Day approaches, women from the Rural Energy Agency, REA, arrive in the village of Zanka and Kigwe in Bahi district in Dodoma to hand over cooking stoves to 116 families in order to motivate the residents of the village to use renewable energy.
The aim of this event is to hand over these stoves to the beneficiaries we have searched for, and we have already have their names because we did not start this work today. We organized ourselves to ensure that we provide these stoves for free to encourage the use of good and safe energy, but also to protect women's health wherever they are in Tanzania.
Dodoma Regional Commissioner Rosemary Senyamule and Bahi District Commissioner Godwin Gondwe motivate the residents to use renewable energy to prevent environmental damage.
My fellow women who are here, let's live accordance with the changes. These stoves that you have been given should be used as intended. We don't want to find that you have put them in the living rooms as decorations. The stoves will help you to reduce eye diseases and the challenge of finding a lot of firewood because you will now use less firewood.
It is encouraging that you are now implementing in practice the best way to use this technology to protect our forest resources in Bahi district and the Dodoma region at large.
Besides, some residents asked the government to review the prices of cooking gas.
We are asking the government to reduce the price of gas so that we can use it and benefit from it.
The main challenge that makes most of ordinary citizens unable to use the gas is due to its price.
We ask the manufacturers of these stoves to reduce the price so that we can buy easily.
The cooking stoves handed over include those that use gas and limited charcoal and wood.
In other news, the acting manager of the Rural Water and Sanitation Agency, RUWASA, Ukerewe District, Engineer Masunga Masanja, says the government has set aside 14 billion shillings to alleviate the problem of shortage of clean water supply. It's a report by Moses Matthew, read by Lulua Mohammed.
The Galu Mibungo Water Project is one of 10 projects implemented by the government in Ukerewe District in Mwanza region. The project involves the construction of a 500,000 litres tank, 65 water extraction stations, expecting to benefit 32,000 residents of the Kakukuru, Namilembe and Ilangala wards.
The tank's construction has reached over 85%. We are working to distribute the pipe from the tank to the stations that we have completed. The stations are 100% complete. Pipeline distribution is 72 kilometers, and so far we have reached the 45%.
Masonga Primary School is among the institutions that are expected to benefit from the Galu Mibungo Water Project that will cost 5.5 billion shillings.
It is important because it will reduce students escaping due to the availability of water in school.
We have many goals and access to water because it will make it easier for us to teach the students on how to be independent, especially the cultivation of vegetables and fruits.
At present, 62% of those living in rural areas in Ukerewe district have access to clean and safe water. The number is expected to increase once the 10 water projects implemented by the Rural Water and Sanitation Agency RUWASA at a cost of 14 billion shillings are complete.
In general, this project is worth 14 billion Tanzanian shillings. It will empower about 60,000 citizens, and they will benefit from this project once they are completed. Once these projects are completed, we'll be able to reach 85% in 2025.
Now let's have a look at other news in the water sector, where the rector of the Water Institute, Dr. Adam Karia, says Minister for Water, Juma Aweso, is expected to officiate the International Scientific Conference on Water Issues, which aims at exploring strategic methods to deal with the challenges facing the water sector. The rector asserts that the water sector is an important sector for human lives, making the conference critical to the nation.
A lot of issues will be discussed. People will have common understanding on many issues that has been a challenge to our country or the other country, or nationally or internationally. Of course, it depends on how you take it, but we are very sure that having this kind of platform, we shall be learning a lot, so as it will be easy, or it is enabler towards attaining the SDG 60 before 2030.
Furthermore, Dr. Karia adds that through the conference, issues of climate change, water security and management are among the issues that will be discussed.
SDGs, and we have SDG 6, which is real plugged for water and sanitation. Now, the main issue that will be discussed here, it is about water and sanitation. Why are we discussing this? It's because we understand that inclusion, the total inclusion, will assist us to reach effectively on the year 2030 of SDG that has been planned by United Nations. So reaching there needs also people to learn together, needs to share information.
More than 20 countries from Africa, Europe, Asia and the United States are expected to participate in the meeting that will be held for 2 days in Dar es Salaam. Now, let's go to the tourism sector. Several species of birds have lost the ability to soar, such as the great and famous bird in the world, that is the ostrich. But why did the ostrich choose to walk and not soar like other birds? Apasia Ringo explains.
The presence of feathers and wings is one of the characteristics that enable a bird to soar. It is a medium of the characteristics that distinguish a bird from other animals as well. Ascension increases the ability to see a large part of the area around it, an advantage in avoiding ground enemies, but also a wide field in finding food work. The ostrich is a bird of African origin. Tanzania is proud to have a large number of ostriches that beautify our reserves, especially here in the Chato Wildlife Farm. A height of 2.5 meters and a weight of about 145 kilograms makes the ostrich the biggest bird than all the birds in the world. Standing on its feet, parallel to its long neck, it can see a very long distance. The male ostrich becomes larger and darker than the female. Ostriches are quiet birds and are used to living with other animals and sharing various resources available in that environment. They smell well, while ostriches have a great ability to see. Thus, it is very easy to avoid enemies if it is in a group of other animals. Although the ostrich cannot soar, its long legs are well built to run. It has the ability to run a distance of 49 kilometers per hour. This is a very high speed for a land bird, but also for a creature that uses two legs. These birds can use their large wings as rudder to turn direction. Ostriches are birds that live in small flocks led by a male ostrich. These birds feed on leaves, roots, and seeds. Sometimes an ostrich eats help it to digest food in their gizzards. The ostrich remains a very unique bird, again carrying the attraction brought by its difference from other birds. Welcome to Chato Wildlife Farm. Welcome to Tanzania.
Welcome to Tanzania indeed. And that marks the end of the local news. International news up next. Now let's have a look at international news with Gloria Michael.
The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged M23 rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo to respect a ceasefire agreement set to come into effect on Tuesday. The UN Secretary General has condemned all violence against civilians and urged all armed groups to lay down their weapons and disarm army and M23 rebels despite a ceasefire agreement. They say there was fighting on at least two fronts. The M23 said it was committed to a peaceful solution but will continue to defend itself if attacked by the Congolese military or its allies. The M23 and the army have accused each other of launching attacks on Monday, which led to a significant civilian displacement. British members of parliament are debating a bill aiming at stopping migrants from entering the United Kingdom illegally. The Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, says the illegal migration bill would stop the boats which are bringing tens of thousands to the shores of the...
Unless we act today, the problem will be worse tomorrow. And the problem is already unsustainable.
The Shadow Home Secretary says serious action is needed to stop dangerous boat crossing, which are putting lives at risk and undermining border security. More than 45,000 people entered the UK via Channel crossing last year, up from around 300 in 2018. Under the new law, the Home Secretary will have a duty to remove those entering the UK via illegal routes. And a cleanup is underway in parts of Malaysia after days of rain-triggered flooding forced thousands from their homes and killed at least 5 people. Nearly 40,000 people had been affected by the floods. The worst affected area was Johor, the southern state neighboring Singapore. Floods are not unusual during the annual monsoon season, which usually takes place between November and March. But in recent years, Malaysia has endured a series of severe floods, which experts say are...
That was international news. Sports news up next.
The newly appointed Taifa Stars head coach Adelia Moroch has revealed that he accepted the task after being motivated by fans. Speaking during his introduction in Dodoma today, the Algerian international Moroch urges fans to turn up in numbers to inspire players, and that will make Stars triumph in international matches.
It's not only to make pressure on the opponent, but they give the power for the players. For that thing is the more important. Before when I talk about developing, is I ask our people to come and to support the national team of Tanzania. Be proud to be Tanzanian.
He adds that he will use coming competitions in Africa
to build the future for this youth, because they are down here in Tanzania.
Tanzania Football Federation TFF appointed the former Harambee Stars Moroch to coach Taifa Stars for 3 years contract. The talents of their children, especially women, is the one way of creating employment opportunity to youth. Manega, who is a student at University of Dar es Salaam taking education, says she decided to leave playing football by fearing her parents. That is why she also took carpentry in secret.
To focus on what they are doing. But if they see their parent is a challenge, they can try to be secret in order to achieve.
She asks parents to develop talents of their children, male or female, without segregations.
To follow their future, but to give the room of the girls or the children to do what they like. Because myself, I have many different talents, but my family, they have not given me that opportunity.
Sports women in Tanzania, they will join other women in the world to celebrate Women's Day on Wednesday. Malio Cheto, TBC News.
And that marks the end of our news bulletin for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I am Faida Ngaga. Good night.
Angalia TBC1, ukweli na uhakika.